Hooray! We finally get the Flakpanzer Gepard. Welcome back to Devblog Chats. This is your host, many miles away, and we're going to be discussing this brand new Tier 5 SPAA vehicle coming to the German Tier 5 lineup, and discussing some of its implications for Tier 5 War Thunder. Now, there isn't as much history to go into here, simply because I discussed most of its chassis history in the Leopard 1A1 video, so I'm not going to be talking as much about the history in this episode. However, I am going to give some of my own personal opinions on the vehicle and speculate a little bit on how I think this thing is going to work in War Thunder. Of course, nobody can totally say for sure how these vehicles are going to perform because we don't have the patch yet. However, these are just going to be some of my best guesses. In any case, let's get on with it. So the Flakpanzer Gepard came out of the idea that the Bundeswehr needed a fast, mobile, self-propelled anti-aircraft gun system, much like the ZSU-23. So what they decided on was they decided to take their Leopard 1 chassis, which they already had in production, and fit a new turret design on it and slightly elongate the chassis a little bit to compensate for it. This new turret featured a radar system, a advanced fire control system, and 35mm autocannons. Now, I don't like to read from the Devblog page itself simply because, well, any of you guys can go and read that. You don't need me to tell you what it says on the Devblog page. However, I am going to quote it right here when talking about the engine system, since, to be honest, I don't know all that much about the development cycle of this vehicle. However, without further ado, I quote, "The Leopard 1 MBT chassis was powered by a water-cooled MTU MB 838 multi-fuel engine with a maximum of 830 horsepower." So that's basically the exact same thing as a Leopard 1. The maximum armor thickness was 50mm, so slightly less than the Leopard 1, which is probably fair to say the least. And it was able to reach a speed of up to 65 kilometers per hour, even with its impressive weight of slightly over 45 tons. So that's actually quite a mobile vehicle. It's about the same as a Leopard 1, slightly heavier, and has a 3-man crew. So now it sounds like the driver, commander, and the gunner. That would be my best guess. The vehicle was armed with twin 35mm Oerlikon belt-fed KDA cannons. I did not know that Oerlikon made these cannons. That's something new. I didn't know that. The effective range was around 4 kilometers. Maximum rate of fire 550 shots per barrel. So combined rate of fire between the two guns is about 1,100 rounds per minute. Not the fastest firing anti-aircraft vehicle, but certainly with 35mm cannons, that's pretty devastating. It's kind of like having a Falcon, just with slightly better armor and slightly better mobility in an overall package. Now, based on what I've read here on the Devblog page, it looks like the way that Gaijin is marketing this vehicle, it feels almost as if they're marketing this thing as the German ZSU-57. They were very, very keen to talk about the different ammunition types available to it and what some of their performance values are. So, I'm quoting again from the Devblog page. Again, I don't like doing this because you guys can go read this. I'll put a link in the video description if you guys want to go read further. However, the first round that they mentioned was high explosive incendiary tracer with 120 grams of explosive substance. So that's actually quite powerful. That's currently far more than the 37mm upgraded ammunition that you can get on the Coelian and the Ostwind. So that's actually quite nice, because that means with the combined rate of fire of your two 35mm autocannons and firing that kind of high explosive filler, destroying aircraft should be a breeze with this thing. Which is very, very good to see, because that's one of the biggest issues I have with lower tier anti-aircraft systems. The fact that you'll put 2 or 3 rounds of 37mm ammunition, if you're firing it from an aircraft, then if you hit, let's say you're flying a Yak-19, you hit an enemy aircraft with your 37mm gun, generally that aircraft just detonates. However, for whatever reason, when you're driving an Ostwind and you hit a PE-2 multiple times with high explosive shells, it doesn't go down. And that is probably one of the most frustrating things for me when I'm driving SPAA vehicles. So it's good to see that this vehicle is going to have very, very powerful high explosive ammunition to deal with aircraft. Thumbs up there. They also mentioned the use of semi-armor piercing high explosive incendiary tracer. So this ammunition is going to be sort of like an omni-purpose ammo. You're going to be able to use it for both aircraft and tanks, so that's going to be interesting. However, the penetration on it is quote-unquote pathetic. We don't know what its close range penetration is going to be, because it says here with a maximum penetration of 35 millimeters at 1,000 meters. Frankly, if you're shooting at an enemy tank that's about 1,000 meters away, you're doing it wrong. If you're that desperate to shoot at an enemy tank 1,000 meters away with semi-armor piercing high explosive, then you're in a really, really bad place, buddy, and you need to get the hell out of there. So, that statistic really doesn't tell me anything. So, anyway, a maximum penetration of 35 millimeters at 1,000 meters within an arc of 60 degrees. Now, again, that doesn't really tell me much, because all that tells me is that you're not going to be able to penetrate the front of a T-54. Well, we already knew that was going to be the case. So, what was the point of telling me this? And regardless, moving on here. And 40 rounds of armor-piercing discarding Sabo ammo. Ooh. And with a maximum penetration of 90 millimeters at 1,000 meters with an arc of 90 degrees. So, that tells me something more. Because, frankly, if you're going to be shooting at anything in this vehicle, you need to be shooting at flat armor. You need to be on the flanks of enemy vehicles if you're going to be using this thing in a quote-unquote tank hunter role, which you really shouldn't be using this thing in a tank hunter role, believe me. It stands out like a sore thumb. In any case, this isn't the first anti-aircraft vehicle to get APDS ammo. The Falcon has APDS ammo. However, the way the belts are arranged, for every 4 rounds fired in the Falcon, 3 are high explosive, 1 is APDS, or HVAP. So, the Falcon's APDS isn't particularly effective. Now, they mention here that there's 40 rounds of APDS ammo. I'm not sure what they mean by that in the sense of, are we going to be switching between belts? Is it contained within the belts? We'll have to wait and see, because it looks to me like you're carrying, much like the Falcon, much like the Kugelblitz, 2 continuous belts, 1 per gun. And then, at some point along the belt links, there are APDS rounds scattered here and there. If I have any veterans in the comments section here who happen to watch my videos that were in the Bundeswehr and served on Gepards, please tell me in the comments section, because I'd really like to know this kind of stuff. Also, if you guys have any other good sources for the Flakpanzer Gepard, please leave them in the comments. I'd like to read up on them, too. So, like I said earlier, it looks like Gaijin is really, really marketing this thing as sort of the anti-ZSU-57. Whereas the ZSU-57 is, I think most people can agree, far more effective at shooting ground targets than it is shooting at air targets. The Flakpanzer Gepard is going to be able to do both with pretty equal effectiveness. Now, I don't feel that the Flakpanzer Gepard is going to be that overpowered if it's only going to be limited to 40 rounds of APDS, which I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I imagine you're going to be able to take a lot more APDS than that, but regardless, the issue that a lot of people have with the ZSU-57 is the fact that it can carry so much armor-piercing ammunition that it can kill the entire team multiple times over if it gets into a good position. Now, granted, there are vehicles that are pretty much immune to the ZSU-57. The Mouse is one of them. However, it shouldn't take a super heavy tank to counter what is effectively a slightly modified T-54 with less armor and automatic cannons. So, again, the Flakpanzer Gepard appears to be the quote-unquote ZSU-57 killer. At least that's how I'm seeing it from the Devblog. But we'll have to wait and see once it's in-game. Now, the fact that the Flakpanzer Gepard was shooting down lots of B-29s doesn't really tell me anything, because frankly, B-29s, they're huge targets, and they're not that difficult to shoot down. If they were showing something more along the lines of what they were doing with the M163 VADs and shooting down multiple IL-28s in one go, then I think that would be quite the feat. And frankly, I feel that the Flakpanzer Gepard we're only getting like a tiny sample of what this thing is going to be capable of in terms of anti-aircraft abilities. But again, that's just me. So, I want to hear your guys' opinion on the Flakpanzer Gepard. Do you think that it's the Kugelblitz Part 2? Do you think it's the true ZSU-57 killer that Gaijin appears to be making it out to be? Or do you think that it's just another overhyped piece of crap that, well, nobody should really care about? Let me know down in the comments section. And with that, I'm going to have to cut this off here because I've got to get to working on the Super Unicorn review for this week. Otherwise, it will never get done. And you guys don't want that. In any case, Keep your tracks checked, keep your binos in place, and keep a round on the tube, and I will see you guys in the next video.